Silent vanguard. For 2 centuries, Earth had been the quiet child of the galactic community. Humanity was permitted to colonize a handful of nearby systems, develop modest technologies, and trade with the more advanced species that dominated the galactic concord. The mighty alien civilizations, some spanning thousands of star systems, viewed humans as an entertaining curiosity, clever primates who had stumbled onto the cosmic stage before they were truly ready. The Concord's policies toward Earth seemed benevolent on the surface. Technology exchanges were carefully regulated for humanity's own good. Development restrictions were framed as responsible progression protocols, and the occasional military demonstrations near human colonies were merely security exercises to maintain galactic peace. Commander Adrian Reeves stood at the viewport of Lunar Base Alpha, his reflection ghosting against the backdrop of Earth's serene blue sphere. At 45, his weathered face carried the weight of humanity's greatest secret. His dark eyes, alert and calculating, surveyed the seemingly empty space around Earth's moon. "Status report on Phase Omega," he said, voice steady. Colonel Zhang's hologram flickered beside him. "All systems operational, sir. The Phantom Fleet remains undetected. Quantum shield effectiveness at 98%. And the Sauron movements. Their battle group entered the outer solar system 6 hours ago. Standard intimidation formation. They're broadcasting the usual warnings about our unauthorized mining operations on Europa." Reeves allowed himself a thin smile. Right on schedule. The Sauron Collective, a hive mind species controlling nearly 30 systems, had been the Concord's most reliable enforcer in the Sol sector. Their distinctive curved warships, resembling massive obsidian scythes, had become a dreaded sight over human colonies whenever Earth pushed against the technological boundaries imposed upon it. "They're expecting the usual diplomatic surrender and resource penalty," John continued. "The President is preparing the official response now, and our actual response. Ready, Commander. Just awaiting your order." Reeves nodded and turned from the viewport. It's time the galaxy learned who we really are. The truth was simple but explosive. Humanity had been lying to the galaxy for decades. While publicly accepting the Concord's restrictions, Earth had secretly developed technologies far beyond what the alien powers believed possible. Hidden facilities throughout the solar system and buried deep within moons and asteroids housed laboratories where human scientists work beyond the prying sensors of alien observers. The Phantom Fleet, completely invisible to conventional detection methods, thanks to human-developed quantum shielding, numbered over 200 warships, each more advanced than anything the Concord powers possessed. Human AI systems, officially banned by the Concord, had evolved to consciousness levels that would terrify the galaxy's ruling species. Most importantly, humans had discovered something the older species had missed entirely: a fundamental force manipulation technique that Earth scientists called dimensional phasing. It allowed human weapons to bypass any known defense system, striking directly through shields as if they didn't exist. All of this remained hidden because the Concord never truly believed humans capable of such advancements. Their monitoring systems watched for known technological signatures and development patterns. Human innovations followed different paths entirely. The aliens' fatal error was underestimating human ingenuity when backed into a corner. "Attention, unidentified vessels in Europa orbit. This is Overguard Thaxil of the Sauron Collective. Your mining operations violate Concord Restriction Protocol 37C. Power down all systems and prepare for boarding and resource forfeiture." The message boomed through the Europa outpost's communication systems. The 100 or so visible human staff looked appropriately frightened, a performance rehearsed dozens of times for just this scenario. The outpost director, Sophia Chen, activated her response channel with trembling hands that concealed her inner excitement. "This is Director Chen of Europa Mining Station Beta. We were authorized to—" "Your authorizations are insufficient," interrupted the Sauron commander, the multiple voices of the hive mind creating an eerie chorus effect. "The collective has determined your operations exceed permitted resource extraction volumes. Penalty protocols are now in effect. Chen's eyes flicked briefly to her secure terminal, where a countdown timer had begun. Please, we need time to evacuate personnel. You have 30 minutes to prepare for boarding. Any resistance will result in station neutralization. The transmission cut. Chen dropped her frightened demeanor immediately, eyes hardening as she contacted Lunar Command on a quantum-encrypted channel. They've made the threat. Executing Revelation Protocol. Commander Reeves' voice came through clearly. Understood, Director. Your people know what to do. Throughout the station, human workers moved with rehearsed precision. The apparently simple mining facility began to transform. Walls slid away, revealing advanced weapon systems. The emergency evacuation ships launched, but instead of fleeing, they took up tactical positions behind Jupiter's moons. And across the solar system, the Phantom Fleet disengaged its quantum shields. Aboard the Sauron command vessel, alarms suddenly blared. The collective consciousness controlling the ship experienced something it rarely felt: confusion. Anomaly detected, reported a drone operator, its insectoid appendages moving frantically across control surfaces, multiple vessels appearing everywhere. The hive mind consciousness focused its attention on the sensor readings. Where moments before there had been only a handful of primitive human transports, now hundreds of warships were appearing throughout the solar system. The readings made no sense. These ships couldn't have arrived undetected. They must have been there all along. Impossible. Chora's the overguard voices. Human technology cannot. The message was cut short as the first dimensional phase torpedo struck the Sauron flagship. There was no warning. No opportunity to raise shields or take evasive action. The weapon simply appeared inside the vessel's power core, bypassing all external defenses. The massive scythe-shaped warship shuddered, then burst apart in a silent explosion that temporarily outshone Jupiter in the background. Throughout the Sauron battle group, similar explosions bloomed as human weapons found their marks with perfect precision. Within 9 minutes, the entire Sauron force, 27 advanced warships that had terrorized this sector for decades, had been reduced to expanding clouds of debris. Not a single human vessel was lost. The Europa Outpost's communications array suddenly activated, broadcasting on all frequencies used by the Concord species. Director Chen stood before the camera, no longer playing the role of frightened administrator. Attention all Concord vessels and monitoring stations. This is humanity speaking. The message was being repeated by every human outpost, colony, and station simultaneously across dozens of star systems. For 200 years, we have endured your restrictions, your condescension, and your oversight. You believed us to be children playing with technologies we didn't understand. You enforced limits on our development while claiming to protect us. You demonstrated your military might whenever we showed signs of progress. The broadcast showed footage of the Sauron fleet's destruction, the advanced human ships moving with impossible precision. We let you believe what you wanted to believe. We played the role you expected of us. But that charade ends today. The camera pulled back to reveal Commander Reeves, standing beside Chen. This was not a battle, he stated flatly. This was a demonstration. For every ship we've shown you today, we have 10 more you cannot detect. For every technology you've witnessed, we have dozens you cannot imagine. He stepped closer to the camera, his expression resolute. The human race will no longer accept restrictions on our development or our expansion. We do not seek conflict with the Concord species, but neither will we tolerate any further attempts to control us. The broadcast switched to show the full extent of the human fleet, now revealed throughout the solar system. Hundreds of warships with designs unlike anything the Concord had seen before. We held back for centuries. We will not hold back any longer. The Concord Council chamber on Alftrix Prime erupted into chaos. Representatives from over 300 species shouted over one another, demanding explanations, proposing emergency military responses, or simply expressing disbelief at what they had witnessed. High Chancellor Zelvax, the ancient Mithridian whose species had helped found the Concord millennia ago, pounded his crystalline gavel for order. "The human transmission has been verified as genuine," he finally announced when the chamber quieted. "The Sauron battle group has been completely destroyed. We have lost contact with all monitoring stations in human space." "How is this possible?" demanded the Ferellian ambassador, her phosphorescent skin pulsing with agitation. "Humans were contained. Their technology was monitored and restricted." "Evidently," Zelvax responded dryly. "Our monitoring was inadequate." The Draxid representative, General Morthak, rose from his seat. The reptilian warrior's scales were flushed dark with anger. "We must respond with overwhelming force. I propose an immediate military coalition to crush this human rebellion before their contagion of defiance spreads." Murmurs of agreement rose from several delegations, but they died quickly when the chamber doors slid open. A single human walked in, a woman in her 50s with silver-streaked black hair and the confident stride of someone who feared nothing in the room. The guards made no move to stop her. They simply stepped aside. "Representatives of the Concord," she announced without introduction. "I am Admiral Helena Winters of the Earth Defense Force. I come with a message from humanity." The chamber fell silent. "Your military options have been removed from consideration," she stated simply. "Even now, human vessels have positioned themselves throughout Concord space, undetected by your sensors, within striking distance of every major military installation and governmental center. Displays around the chamber activated, showing real-time footage of massive human warships decloaking near the homeworlds of the Concord's most powerful species." "This is impossible," shouted General Morthak. Admiral Winters smiled thinly. "Your definition of impossible has just changed, General. Empire of tomorrow." The aftermath of humanity's revelation spread through the galaxy like a shockwave. Markets crashed as the delicate balance of power that had sustained the Concord for millennia suddenly shifted. Military strategists frantically reassessed threat models that had never accounted for humans as a major power. Politicians scrambled to align themselves with this unexpected new force. All eyes turned toward Earth, the seemingly insignificant blue planet that had managed to deceive the entire galactic community. Admiral Helena Winters had delivered humanity's demands to the Concord Council with calm precision. All technological restrictions on human development would be lifted immediately. Earth would be granted equal status with the founding species of the Concord, and reparations would be paid for centuries of suppression. Most shocking was her final demand, that humans be given oversight authority on the Concord's Technology Regulation Committee, the very body that had been used to keep Earth constrained for so long. Now, 3 days later, the full Concord Council had assembled for an emergency vote on these demands. The vast chamber on Alftrix Prime hummed with tense voices as representatives from hundreds of species debated their limited options. High Chancellor Zelvax's ancient face showed no emotion as he called the session to order, but those who knew him well could see the subtle signs of strain in his posture. "We face an unprecedented situation," he began. "For the first time in Concord history, a developing species has not only exceeded our technological expectations, but has systematically concealed that development from us." He gestured toward Admiral Winters, who had been granted observer status for this session. "The humans have made their demands clear. Our intelligence suggests they possess the military capability to enforce these demands should we reject them." General Morthak rose immediately. "Are we to be blackmailed by upstarts? The Draxid Imperium will never submit to human demands." Winters remained impassive, but a slight smile played at the corners of her mouth. Chancellor Zelvax sighed. "General, I understand your position. However, I must inform the Council that 17 minutes ago, the entirety of the Draxid home fleet disappeared." Gasps echoed through the chamber. "What do you mean disappeared?" Morthak demanded. A holographic display activated, showing the orbit around the Draxid homeworld. Where dozens of warships should have been stationed, there was nothing but empty space. "We are receiving reports," Zelvax continued, that all ships and crews have been safely transported to the far side of your system's outer moon. The vessels appear intact, but completely powered down. All eyes turn to Admiral Winters, who spoke for the first time. They will be reactivated when today's vote is complete. Consider it a demonstration of good faith that we disabled rather than destroyed them. Morthak's scales darkened to near black, but he remained silent. In the corridors outside the council chamber, frantic diplomacy continued. Species that had barely acknowledged humans before now sought private audiences with Admiral Winters and her staff. The naralloy silicon-based entities who had always held themselves apart from organic politics requested a technological exchange program with Earth. The Ventari conglomerate, the galaxy's banking power, suddenly discovered favorable interest rates for human colonies. Most surprising was the approach from the Sauron Collective's remaining representatives. The loss of their battle group had fractured the hive mind's unity, and a splinter consciousness now sought alliance with humanity against the primary collective. Commander Adrian Reeves, who had accompanied Winters to Alftrix Prime, observed these maneuvers with a mixture of amusement and disgust. 200 years of being treated like backward children, he remarked to Winters as they prepared for the council vote, and suddenly everyone wants to be our best friend. Winters straightened her uniform. Power is the only language the Concord truly understands, Adrian. We knew that when we started this project 30 years ago. Do you think they'll accept our terms? They have no choice. What concerns me is what comes after. Reeves raised an eyebrow. You're worried about how we'll use our new position. I'm worried about how others will react to it, she corrected. The Concord has maintained stability through systematic oppression of developing species. We're not just changing our own status, we're breaking the entire system and offering something better in its place, Reeves added. Winters nodded. If we can make it work. The council vote was a formality. With human warships positioned throughout Concord space and no effective countermeasures available, the result was predetermined. By a margin of 276 to 31, with 12 abstentions, the Concord Council accepted all of humanity's demands. Chancellor Zelvax's voice carried a hint of resignation as he announced the result. The integration of Earth as a full Concord power will begin immediately. All restrictions on human technological development are hereby lifted. The human representative will assume their position on the Technology Regulation Committee at tomorrow's session. As the session concluded, Zelvax approached Admiral Winters privately. You've achieved quite a victory, he said quietly, but I wonder if you understand what you've done. Winters met his gaze. We understand perfectly, Chancellor. We've ended an unjust system. You've destabilized a peace that lasted for millennia, a peace built on suppression and fear. The ancient Mithridian studied her face. My species has guided the Concord since before your people discovered fire, Admiral. We've seen civilizations rise and fall. The restrictions we placed on developing species weren't merely about maintaining our power. They were about preventing the catastrophes we've witnessed throughout our history. Or perhaps, Winters countered, they were about maintaining the status quo that benefited the founding species. You never gave us the chance to prove ourselves. And now you've taken that chance by force. We did what was necessary. Zelvax's crystalline features caught the light as he inclined his head slightly. Indeed, just as we will do what we believe necessary in response. It wasn't a threat, merely a statement of fact, but Winters felt a chill nonetheless. 3 weeks after the council vote, the first signs of the new galactic order began to emerge. Human embassies opened on hundreds of worlds that had previously denied Earth diplomatic recognition. Trade agreements previously impossible under Concord restrictions were established between Earth and dozens of species. Most significantly, other developing species began to approach humanity in secret, seeking guidance on how they too might break free from Concord limitations. On Mars Colony, the largest human settlement outside Earth, Commander Reeves met with representatives from 5 such species in a secure facility beneath Olympus Mons. The delegates, from worlds that had been even more severely restricted than Earth, looked at him with a mixture of hope and desperation. "The techniques you use to conceal your technological development," said the Viridian delegate, her translucent skin pulsing with nervous energy. "Could they work for others?" Reeves studied each of them carefully. "Possibly. But understand what you're asking. The path we took required absolute secrecy, massive resource diversion, and decades of patience. Many of our people sacrificed their entire careers to work on projects that officially didn't exist. We are prepared for such sacrifices," stated the Korthos representative, his armored exoskeleton clicking softly as he leaned forward. "We have lived under Concord restrictions for 7 centuries. We have the patience." Reeves nodded slowly. "Then perhaps we can help you. But not in the way you might expect." He activated a holographic display showing the new organizational structure, an alliance of developing species with Earth at its center. "Humanity doesn't seek to replace the Concord's oppression with our own. What we propose is a coalition of emerging powers, sharing knowledge and resources outside Concord control." The representatives exchanged glances. "And what would Earth gain from this arrangement?" asked the Viridian. "Allies," Reeves replied simply. "Because make no mistake, the Concord founding species will not accept their diminished status for long. They're already planning how to restore the old order." The Korthos representative's sensory appendages quivered. "You believe war is coming. I believe that freedom always comes at a price. Humanity is prepared to pay it. The question is, are you?" One by one, the representatives signaled their agreement. On Earth, the Global Unity Government convened in Geneva to discuss the rapidly evolving galactic situation. President Amara Okafor, who had guided humanity through the final phases of the Revelation Project, addressed the assembled leaders. "The Concord has formally recognized our new status," she began, "but our intelligence suggests they are already forming alliances to contain our influence. The Draxid, the Ferellians, and the Elder Mithridians have established a joint military command structure." Defense Minister Takashi frowned. "Are they planning an immediate response?" "No," Admiral Winters interjected. "They're too cautious for that. They'll watch and wait, hoping to find weaknesses in our technological systems or divisions among our colonies." "And will they find such weaknesses?" asked the European Federation representative. Winters exchanged a glance with Commander Reeves. "What they don't yet understand," Reeves explained, "is that we haven't revealed our most advanced technologies. The dimensional phasing weapons, the quantum shields, these are merely the first generation of discoveries we've made." A murmur ran through the assembly. President Okafor raised her hand for quiet. "For 2 centuries, humanity played the long game. We allowed ourselves to appear weak while building our strength in secret. That strategy has succeeded beyond our greatest hopes. But our work is not finished." She activated a holographic display of the galaxy, with human-controlled space highlighted. Phase 1 was Revelation, showing the galaxy our true capabilities. Phase 2 begins today, Expansion. We will extend our reach, build our alliances, and secure our position as a dominant galactic power. Minister Takashi leaned forward. "And if the Concord resists?" President Okafor's expression hardened. "Then they will learn what humanity is truly capable of when challenged." 6 months later, humanity's influence had spread throughout previously restricted sectors. Earth-based corporations established outposts on worlds that had never seen human presence before. The coalition of emerging species that Commander Reeves had proposed now included 17 member species, all rapidly advancing with human technological assistance. The balance of power had shifted dramatically. While the Concord still controlled the majority of settled space, the rate of change favored the human-led coalition. Younger species, tired of restrictions and second-class status, increasingly looked to Earth for leadership rather than the ancient Concord powers. On Alftrix Prime, Chancellor Zelvax met with the Inner Council of Founding Species. The mood was somber. "The humans have established another outpost in the Cygnus Arm," reported the Ferellian representative. They're systematically positioning themselves along major trade routes. More concerning, added the Draxid General Morthak, is their military buildup. Our latest intelligence suggests their fleet now numbers over 1,000 vessels, with construction accelerating. Zelvax stared at the star map showing human expansion. They're moving too quickly. This level of growth isn't naturally sustainable. Unless, suggested the ancient Iothe observer who rarely spoke at these meetings, they had prepared for this moment far longer than we realized. The council fell silent, contemplating this disturbing possibility. How could they have hidden so much from us? Asked the Ferellian. The Iothe's multifaceted eyes gleamed. By understanding us better than we understood them. Humans have always been exceptional students of their adversaries. While we watched for the technological signatures we expected, they developed along paths we never considered. Zelvax's crystalline fingers tapped a complex pattern on the table. The question before us is simple. Do we accept this new reality, or do we act to restore the previous order? General Morthak growled. The Draxid position is clear. The humans must be contained before they destabilize the entire galaxy. With what force? Countered the Ferellian. Our combined fleets couldn't match their revealed capabilities, let alone whatever they've kept hidden. Perhaps, Zelvax said softly, there are other ways to contain a species than through direct confrontation. All eyes turned to the Chancellor. Elaborate, demanded Morthak. The humans have shown remarkable technological advancement, Zelvax explained. But technology alone does not ensure survival. History teaches us that species who advance too quickly often destroy themselves. You propose we wait for them to self-destruct. The Ferellian skin flickered with skepticism. I propose we help them along that path, corrected Zelvax. Division. Internal conflict. These are weapons more subtle than fleets, but potentially more effective against a species as passionate as humans. The council members exchanged glances, seeing the wisdom in this approach. But what none of them realized was that a quantum-entangled listening device, technology believed impossible by Concord scientists, had been planted in the chamber months ago. Every word of their plotting was being transmitted directly to Earth Command. In her office beneath Geneva, President Okafor reviewed the transcript of the Concord Inner Council meeting, Admiral Winters and Commander Reeves standing at attention before her. So, she said finally, they choose subversion rather than direct confrontation. Winters nodded. As we predicted, they'll attempt to exploit existing tensions between our colonies and political factions. Can they succeed? Okafor asked. Reeves stepped forward. Not if we maintain unity. The coalition is our strength. 17 species working together, each contributing unique perspectives and technologies. It's an advantage the Concord never had with its hierarchical structure. Okafor turned to face the window, looking out at the rebuilt skyline of Geneva, a city once destroyed in old Earth wars, now a symbol of human unity. For centuries, humanity dreamed of finding other intelligent life among the stars, she said quietly. When we finally did, they treated us as children to be controlled. Now the roles are reversed. She turned back to her military leaders. We will not make the same mistake. We won't suppress other species as we were suppressed. Instead, we'll build something new, the genuine galactic community of equals. The Concord species won't accept such a future easily, Winters cautioned. No, agreed Okafor. But they will accept it eventually. Whether through wisdom or necessity, they will learn what humanity has always known. And what is that, Madam President? Asked Reeves. Okafor's expression was resolute. That true strength comes not from domination, but from cooperation. Not from restriction, but from freedom to develop one's full potential. She turned back to the window, gazing up at the stars barely visible in the daylight sky. The Concord era is ending. The human era has begun. And this time, we won't hold back. Above Earth, invisible to conventional sensors, the vast human fleet maintained its vigil, not just protecting humanity now, but shepherding the galaxy toward a new future, a future where no species would be held back again. The end.